My name is Zakary Koenigs, and I've had the opportunity to go to Uganda 5 times as a part of my mother's organization, Just Like My Child, which helps young girls learn about their bodies and how to avoid early pregnancy. She has also helped build and support numerous schools, hospitals, and other buildings. I've personally raised over $10,000 to build a library at an elementary school. Recently, I went to Uganda with the intention of making a documentary, but I didn't have a clear focus of what to focus on. All I knew is that I was going to interview peers and try and form a story around it. Once I got there, I knew what I should do. Whenever I go to Uganda, I take note of something that is similar and something that is different between the United States and Uganda. The differences range from the way people act to the quantity of things that people have. Prior to going on this trip, I started to consider what the differences were and why they existed. I asked my peers what their thoughts on Uganda were to see if they noticed something different that I may have not considered and how it compares to living in the United States.
They radiate such energy, such passion for just being happy. It's kind of like this unconditional, carefree approach to their everyday lives. And yet, they work much harder than we've ever worked as kids. And they're 5, 6, 7, 8, and their hands are dirty and their feet are dirty, and yet they're putting their hearts and souls into just getting food for their family. Water every single day, More often than not, they're breaking their backs for their elders, while we are, not. And when we go to visit them, and we take part in these communal activities, and be with them, we see such love in their eyes, and such excitement to see the Mzungus too, and just this great joy to see us integrate into what they do in their everyday life. And most of them never see themselves in a mirror.
A lot of our worries are superficial and just gross and not important, and truly just manufactured by this society that we have in this developed country.
Then you have the citizens of a country like this who have much different worries, trust me. They're worried about getting their water and getting their clothes clean and getting food to survive. It's a lot more A to B. When you live and are born into this society that's already done things for you, you don't have to do anything hard, you find yourself in a place that's just unhappy. You don't think about the simple things that get you where you need to be. And me realizing that brings me to the point where I'm like, maybe I do just need to focus on the simple things, and just be grateful for things, really. Because when you have it this nice, what they're doing makes me feel like, what did I do to deserve to be born into a life that I didn't choose, and yet it's so much less meaningful than their life?
And they still look at me and smile every time, unconditionally. And I can't do that to most people.
I think that Jose said it best, that kids in Uganda always have such joy and passion in their eyes that it really seems as though nothing can get them down. It's clear that life in Uganda is ultimately more difficult overall. Kids start working with their families at a very young age, disease like HIV is rampant, early pregnancy and death during childbirth is common, and many kids don't even get a chance to go to school, yet they seem significantly happier. Is it because they don't know anything better? Or is it because technology and social media affects us negatively? Is it because work in America is harder on a person mentally rather than physically? Or do people in America lack something that people in Uganda might have? I think it's all of these things combined. Many of the people around me have too many materialistic things. Our society is trying to make everything more convenient, but it ultimately leads to negative effects on our society. It seems as though we in America always want more stuff. But why do we want that stuff? Because it'll make us happier? Or is it because our whole society puts so much pressure on us to get that new stuff, and the idea of having the thing is more meaningful than the actual object?
I just think that coming here, you see that happiness really isn't based off what you have physically. Like, you're, like, I don't know how you say, like, the things you own, like, don't amount up to happiness. Like, happiness is something you have to find within yourself, and you can't find it in, like, material objects. And I think that's something you definitely learn from coming on this trip, because you see these kids that live a life so much, I guess, I don't know how you'd say it, less luxurious than we live at home. Like, we have all these luxuries, like running water and like in our houses and heating and all this stuff, and you realize you don't need that to be happy. And I feel like people put too much pressure on other things to be happy and don't actually realize that they're themselves is what makes them happy.
Just say, like, everyone here makes the most of everything so much more than in the US. Like, everyone smiles here and just seems so much more happy and richer, even though they might not have the same things as us. Like, they're going to the bathroom in holes, but they smile 100 times more than any of us do.
When I stop and appreciate what I have and what I'm grateful for, and that I don't need anything else, I definitely feel lighter and happier, and maybe that's part of the secret. I felt the pressure society puts on kids getting into a college, and it seems as though the idea of getting into a college is significantly more important than what they will actually learn in that college. Many kids I know haven't even considered what they want to major in or what they want to accomplish after college. That's because we're so focused on getting the 4.8 GPA and the 1500 SAT score that we might overlook what might actually make us happy or what we're truly good at. The pressure that is put on us to do well in school so we can get into a good college causes enormous anxiety, and for what? This could be another clue as to why the kids in Uganda seem so much happier than some of my friends. I've known kids in America who are literally killing themselves because they aren't doing well in school, because they feel like a waste of space, because a girl or boy won't respond to them, because they believe that they are depressed. But it's really all just an illusion that we choose to buy into. The illusion makes everything in front of us seem significantly more potent than it actually is. I myself am victim to this illusion. I've had to deal with a lot of anxiety. There have been times when I have no clue as to what I'm anxious about. Sometimes I can't even stand up because the pain from it is so intense. There have been days where I've had panic attacks for hours on end, not even knowing what it's about. But on social media, words like anxiety and depression can be tossed around like everybody has it. Like it's normal or a good thing to have. It's just socially acceptable. We've allowed these words to consume us. It's used as a get-out-of-jail-free card in many situations. It bothers me that someone can just slap a label on themselves as being anxious, just because what they feel like sounds like someone on the internet said. I've seen children in Uganda endure pain and trauma that seems incomprehensible to me. I've watched them do incredibly difficult and dangerous tasks, physical labor, and I've met many orphans who've had to deal with the deaths of their mother or father caused by easily preventable illnesses. I would have imagined that these kids would be the ones with depression and anxiety. But even when I met these kids with really challenging situations, they always seemed eager to connect and play. Maybe the strenuous physical tasks and hardships have made them more resilient, and they are aware of the smaller, more important things that matter. Could grit, resilience, and knowing that you'll survive anything be a key to happiness? I see that older American generations have had to go through somewhat similar struggles. War, murder, illness, physical abuse. I've never once heard my parents say that they're depressed, and both of them have had very challenging childhoods. My grandmother survived the Holocaust, and I have never seen her be anything but grateful for what she does have. Her health, her family, and a comfortable, humble life. I believe that there's something to be said for those challenges. It's what made them want to succeed and to find happiness. Why are people who have struggled in their lives perhaps a little happier? I believe that so far, the kids I know in the US haven't had to go through the same struggles that generations past have had to go through. We aren't hardened mentally to deal with the problems that were simple for generations past, and we are being told to do an increasing amount of mentally draining work. Although it's not great, much of the way past generations got stronger mentally was through physical and emotional trauma. Building resilience, figuring out how to make do in the worst of circumstances, they built grit, confidence, and the knowledge that they could survive anything. We complain about the stuff we don't have because we never have had anything really horrible happen to us. We don't have a point of comparison and can lack gratitude for what we do have. I don't have a real conclusion for this video, except to say it and me are a work in progress. It's my intention to bring awareness of these stark differences between our worlds to find ways to integrate the best of both. I'm also committed to continuing to explore these ideas and make more documentaries in the future. My generation has a real opportunity to make a massive difference in the world. I'm going to do my best to be an example and tell more stories like this one.